Hey, if you're looking to raise money for your real estate deals, have you considered using social media ads? Well, that's exactly what today's guest focuses on. We sit down with Vitaliy Gnezdilov to talk about how he's built the Raise Ready system to raise more capital for real estate deals. Now, listen, if you're looking to raise 6 and 7 figure checks, there's a process involved if you're going to use social media. It's not as simple as you put up the ad and people fund your deals, but there is a process that's involved. And if you've ever tried this or had any reservations, we talk specifically with Vitaliy about the things you need to do in order to ensure success. Find out if this is a good strategy for your investing goals. Check out the conversation right here on Multifamily Insights. When you think you found a great deal, asking the right questions could be the difference in finding a stud or a dud. Listen, we've put together a new guide to help you out. It's called 7 Questions You Must Ask Before Investing in Apartments. Now, in this guide, you're going to learn how to uncover red flags, quickly identify underwriting risk, vet sponsors and team members, and confirm key assumptions. Now, this is a guide that's going to help you be a better investor, whether you're an active investor or you're a passive investor looking to partner with other operators. Asking better questions is the key to identifying great opportunities. So download this free guide. Go to our website, casmoncapital.com/7questions. That's the number 7 questions. And you can access this free guide today. To make it easy on you, though, we've put a link in our show notes. So you go to the show notes, you can click that link and access the guide right now. This guide's going to help you make better investment choices, asking the right questions to build your portfolio. So be sure to download it today. We've got a couple things that I think can help a lot of investors. So if you're out there and you're trying to connect with investors, you want to get into deals, you want to grow your multifamily portfolio, you have to understand what questions you need to be asking. We have put together a downloadable guide. It is 7 questions you must ask before investing in apartments. So check this guide out. It's really helpful for you, whether you're active and you're trying to go out there and find great deals for investors, or you're passive and you're looking to make sure you're vetting the deal, vetting the operator, vetting the market, and you need to know the right questions to ask. So check that out at casmoncapital.com/7questions. All right, Vitaliy, great to have you here on the show today. I'm going to let you take a minute or two and introduce yourself and give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thanks, John. So I'll cover that real quick. I started off, and I'll kind of go over how I got into the space to begin with. I started off as a brand designer, and my kind of formal background is in user experience design. And what that essentially means is designing software in a way that's user friendly to the people actually using the software. And so I did a bunch of enterprise stuff, and so the mixture of kind of the design side of things, the user experience side of things, led me also to reconnect with my now business partner, and he's somebody actually I had met in high school. And so years later down the road, we reconnected at a boxing gym, and he has an advertising background. And so he's like, hey, what are you up to these days? And I told him everything I'm doing, and he told me what he was up to, and he is the one who actually introduced me to real estate syndication. This is something that he has started doing since the inception of the Jobs Act. And so he said, hey, there's this really interesting thing going on here in this space. And so we thought, hey, how can we take our skill sets that I have and that he has, and how can we merge them together? And so we kind of joke around and we say, basically, I make stuff look good, and he makes sure that it gets seen by the right people. And so we had dove right into the space head in first, and we were very lucky to partner with a couple of visionary founders and sponsors in real estate. And so we essentially started to trade our skill sets for GP equity in a multitude of deals. We've done deals we've actually started funds from the ground up with these guys for mobile home parks, ATMs. We've also done countless multifamily value add type deals. And so across our tenure of working with these guys for a couple of years, we raised enough money to acquire around a little over $40 million in real estate. So it's not a huge number, but it was something that kind of validated what we were doing. So that was really interesting to us. And so around this time too, I had taken a sabbatical, and I actually went and joined CrowdStreet to see how, they were building out, this whole kind of ecosystem on an enterprise level. So that was really interesting to see behind the curtains. And so it was also an interesting time for CrowdStreet because they were transitioning to becoming a uh, broker dealer. And so there's a lot of nuances and challenges that go with that. And so not only were they transitioning, and that was already a challenge to go through that transition for them, but it was also my job to help them kind of streamline investor acquisitions and also increase conversions. So around this same time, so I started investing as a limited partner. And so now I've got the full experience on kind of what it's like to run things from a GP side of things, how to build an enterprise level product, and also how to invest as a limited partner, and what that whole experience looks like from that side of things. So the culmination of everything that my business partner and myself have learned is what kind of brought us to starting and rebranding our company to Raise Ready Systems. And that's where we've been for the past couple of years now.
Yeah, man. Well, congratulations on that. You talked about the, origins of Raise Ready Systems, really starting at that boxing gym, right? Reconnecting with a buddy from high school and talking about what you're up to. You were doing user experience design, working as a software engineer or software designer, I should say. And really from that, you just kind of started talking more about the opportunities in the marketplace. You got introduced to real estate syndications and started partnering from there, raising money, $40 million worth of apartments or worth of real estate, I should say. And from there, you kind of recognize, hey, you know what? Let's really reposition this and focus solely on being able to raise capital for deals. So explain to us exactly what Raise Ready Systems is.
So Raise Ready Systems is a process. It's a really a framework, and the way that it's the most streamlined package of how to get investors to have conversations with you regarding your specific offering. And so one of the kind of the key pieces there is we often get, and the way that we do that is through social media advertising. And the question is, well, are my investors really on social media? Well, the answer is yes, and that's because everybody is. And so, kind of fundamentally, at a 30,000 foot level, what we do is what we allow our clients to do is help them raise 6 and 7 figure checks from strangers off of the internet. And when you say it like that, it just sounds like a completely wild concept. It's like, well, how can you do that, right? And so that's exactly what we've built out, is that framework that we install for our clients that gets their offering seen by the right investors, and gets them to go through a very specific flow to go from kind of seeing the deal for the very first time and becoming aware of our client's brand for the first time, expressing interest, raising their hand, and going all the way through from that to scheduling a call, to actually showing up to the call, and then ultimately committing money into their deal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Vitaly, that's intriguing for many of our listeners, right, who are looking to raise capital for their deals. Maybe they've been able to find some great or interesting opportunities, but raising capital has been a struggle. You're talking about having this system where you could get on social media and raise 6 to 7 figures from complete strangers, and having that really be created where you're out there not having these relationships out of the gate, but you're able to raise this capital to go out there and do these deals. Sounds like a great idea, much harder in execution. Talk to us about the challenges in this process.
Yeah, so there's a lot there, and so the way to start this out is to start small. We like to break out the offer, kind of the experience into smaller pieces, right? First of all, is your offering positioned in the right way that it's even getting people to express interest, right? Because if you're not getting people to raise their hand, it doesn't matter what your sales process looks like in the back end, because you haven't even gotten that far. So it's really important to kind of chunk it out into smaller kind of milestones. And the first milestone is to get you positioned, to create the content that's attractive enough, and that is being seen by the right investors, so that they see the offering, they resonate with it, and they actually click in and submit their their precious contact information in order to have learn more, essentially, right? So beyond that, okay, you're getting people to express interest. Okay, then what happens after that? Like, are you getting enough of those people converted into a conversation, into a phone call, and like kind of what does that whole process look like? And so streamlining converting a lead into a phone call schedule doesn't necessarily then mean that this person is actually going to show up to the call. So what's your process for kind of, nurturing the leads that have gone through, that are going through your funnel, that have scheduled the call? What kind of messaging are you putting out there, and what kind of manual outreach is your relations team doing to actually make sure that this lead has the greatest chance of actually showing up? And then once they show up, it's like, okay, well, what is your sales process like? How are you taking them through that initial call? And then, depending on where they are in the sales pipeline, depending on what stage they're in, do you know exactly what to do to get them from lead to actually, go across the sales pipeline to actually become close? There's a lot of areas where this whole thing can fall apart. And if you have all the right pieces in place, if you know what to do and you have a process to do it, then it becomes much, much easier. But yeah, without it can be very, very challenging. And some of your listeners might have already tried this in the past. And they're like, oh, I've tried this in the past and it didn't work. Well, there's a lot of places where this can go wrong. And so, yeah, having a proven system is what you need.
Yeah, and Vitaly, I mean, people understand social media advertising, right? And have a general sense that, oh, okay, it must work to an extent. Lots of people do it in different categories. I think in this case, when it comes to investing, and typically we're talking about $50,000, $100,000, even $25,000. That's a lot of money to invest based off of a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or something, right? So that journey that you're talking about is critical. What is the system? What is the process? How are you nurturing? That's going to make all the difference. It's not that someone's going to see a Facebook banner and immediately stroke a check just because they saw this banner talking about this deal. There's a whole process that's involved. So there are a couple things there, right? So one, people probably understand this could work. Do you have any real examples of some success and results of this type of approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our clients, where we want to see our clients is in the $1 million a month type range per single investor relations professional that they have on their staff. So that's where we want to get our clients, and some get there. Some have to go back to the drawing board and kind of restructure their returns to make them a little bit more appealing to the investors. So it's not necessarily something that you're going to install and it's just going to write you checks in an automated fashion. Like this is a very kind of a challenging system to implement. But if you know what you're doing, you can substantially cut through the amount of time it's going to get you to, it's going to take you to get there. Yeah, we've got one guy right now for a client. He is getting rid of his active $8 million business portfolio, and he's thinking of rolling that into something that's a little bit more passive for him and his sons. We have countless examples of $100,000 to $1 million checks. Some of those are 1031 exchanges. Some of those are just $50,000, $100,000 investments. Typically, the types of investors that come through, they are a little bit more on the sophisticated side. It's pretty rare that we get somebody who is actually, hey, this is my first $25,000 check type thing. When I was at CrowdStreet, we interviewed, I think it was like 36 of the top investors on the platform just to kind of learn a little bit more how they evaluate deals. And getting these guys on the phone, and these are the top investors on CrowdStreet, okay, like top LPs. You looking at them, you'd never think that this guy is in 10, 20 different deals. But because they're just very unassuming when you talk to them. but these are the same kind of guys that our campaigns generate. So it's having a campaign that can uh, talk to that specific demographic and that kind of level of an audience, and that's going to be key. Because if you want people to download your free ebook, you're going to get people to download your free ebook. Like, the algorithm will get you those people. But if you're looking for somebody who's looking to allocate, 100,000 to $1 million plus, the algorithm will find those people for you as well. We have a client that's actually flying to Los Angeles today to meet with a $1 million minimum check writer that came from one of our campaigns for their hospitality asset. And so these things happen, they happen all day long, these types of, connections.
Yeah, Vital, a couple things that are standing out for me. One, you're saying, let me play back some of it, right? So first of all, you have to have the right content, right? The right offering, the right campaign to attract this type of investor. From your experience, this person is usually a bit more experienced, right? So they have done some investments, typically not their first 25K check they're writing. So it's easier for them to make this investment. They can take a look at it and get to know, but it's not the end of the process. It's not that they see this ad and then they sign a PPM and wire the money. It's usually that they see this ad and that starts the vetting process really on both sides to get to know who the operator is, what's the business plan, and kind of going from there. So it's not like this instantaneous thing
Right.
that you see it and you immediately write a check. So I think it's really important for people just to understand how this works. That ad is really the opening of the door, right? To build a relationship and to start growing something. It's not necessarily you put this out there, people are going to fill out a form and you're going to have, $1 million wired into your account by the end of the business day. So just have some realistic expectations around what to expect here. With
Yeah.
that said, that kind of begs the question, who is this right for from the operator standpoint? If the investors who are, looking at these ads and are able to move relatively quickly are more experienced and typically more well capitalized, what should you be doing if you're the operator looking at this or exploring this as an option? What does that profile look like on your end?
Yeah. So typically, who this is good for is that it's somebody who's tapped out of their friends and family, and their deals aren't quite large enough for any institutional or any kind of family office money. So you're in that sweet spot of like, hey, my only way to grow this is to simply meet more high net worth individuals. So that's a really big piece there. And then the other piece too is having we use this word speed to lead a lot. And so when you're on social media, it essentially means that the algorithm is now not only placing your deals in front of others, but also your competitors' deals. So the experience that you deliver to the investor, provided that the investment satisfies the prospect's criteria, the experience that you deliver is going to be the main differentiator between you versus them going with you versus somebody else. And so the quicker you can sink your teeth into the prospect and deliver a good experience, the more likely the investor is actually going to uh, participate in your offering versus somebody else's. So having that kind of competitive awareness that you're not the only one that they're looking at, and actually going into the sales process with that understanding and actually tailoring the sales approach with that in mind, and not being completely blind to what else is going on out there, is going to make you much more, kind of, it's going to fine tune your presentation a little bit more and make the investor understand that, hey, these guys know what they're doing versus somebody else.
Yeah, that's really great, right? You talked about, first of all, probably having some experience. Let's start with that, right? You kind of alluded to it, but just to be clear, you probably want some experience and a track record. If you're brand new,
Yeah.
have never done a deal, may not be the best fit for you at this time because they're going to ask those questions, right? Those investors are going to ask about you and your experience. And if they don't know you like that, they're going to be trusting your track record. So you probably need to have a little bit of experience. But you talked about being in that in between space where maybe you've kind of leveraged some friends and family, not quite big enough where you can go get institutional level investors. But this is a way to kind of help you grow and scale with folks who kind of they get the business plan, they know, what they're looking for. If you can provide them with a solution, now they may be interested in investing with you. The key here though is the speed to the lead, right? Being able to respond quickly, recognizing that they're exploring other options. You are not the only show in town. So you want to make sure that you're able to communicate quickly, follow up, and deliver a great customer experience because that's going to allow you to stand out in a very competitive landscape. So really, really phenomenal insight. And I think that rings true beyond just this platform. When we're talking to investors, you got to be able to respond. That speed to lead and just the responsiveness, that's absolutely critical. You got to be available. You have to be able to respond. That's going to allow you to stand out and build some real connection. So really, really, really critical point, especially because this is how you're, demonstrating yourself before the investment. And if you're not going to respond before I give you the money, then I already know you're not going to respond after I give you the money. So, that's one of the things you kind of have to be really mindful of and just create the systems and process. And you may have to restructure your team and responsibilities so that whoever is in charge of investor relations has the ability to be responsive. So really, really great insights. I want to come back to something else you talked about, right? You talked about the campaign, and I wrote down the hook because, again, most people are scrolling, right? We're talking social media ads, and you're scrolling. You got a split second, right? Like half a second to grab somebody's attention. How are you hooking people to really grab their attention and grab their curiosity to engage further?
So typically with our campaigns, our team creates probably about 15 to 20 different hooks and different content pieces for the campaign before it even is launched, so that when the campaign is launched, we have a breadth of experiments that are kind of running actively. And then we also have some on the kind of in the back that are ready to go, depending on how the initial set of experiments pan out. But yeah, so here's kind of one thing to understand is when it comes to the funnel, there's a lot of kind of webinar funnels out there, and so you essentially go from social media to filling out a form to landing on a page that has a 1 hour long video, and it's and the first 3 minutes is like, okay, hey, thanks everybody for joining. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for people to join before we begin, right? So things like that. And so we want to avoid things like that because figure about 15, maybe 10 seconds ago, this person was just scrolling on social media, and then you caught their attention, which is already such a gift that, that happened. And to the point where not only do you catch their attention, but they said, okay, I'm going to click through this and actually give you my contact information. That by itself is very difficult to do considering how much competition for attention there really is. So something that to have a funnel that's contextually aware to where the user was 5 seconds ago and earning their attention seconds at a time, so that you can get on a phone call with them. That's initial 5 minute call. That's everything. That's a lot.
Yeah, I love the way you frame that up because I think it gets lost, and not just what you're talking about, but just in general. I mean, a lot of times when it comes to social media, people are there for maybe a reprieve from work or whatever it is they're doing. They're not there thinking, man, maybe that great deal I've been looking for is going to pop up in my feed, right? So usually they're in a different mindset. So for someone to see an ad, click on it, go to that landing page, start watching a webinar when they were doing something completely different, 10 seconds ago, that's a different journey. And I know that's your forte. But if we think about it, I don't know the numbers that you see with conversions, but I imagine, you'd probably be ecstatic if you got 1 out of 100 people who saw that ad to click and actually watch any portion of the or fill out their information and watch any portion of the webinar. So you're already talking about, 1% or less than 1%. You've got to really think about how do you serve that person because 99% of people have already dropped out, and most of them never even, went for even clicked on your ad, right? So it definitely is a different mindset when you think of serving that audience and serving that person and how you capture their attention and give them the information that they're looking for and keeping them engaged. And the big thing here, as you said, earning their attention 1 second at a time. I know like the TikTok and some of these other platforms, that is exactly how they're built. they're
Mhm.
built to earn your engagement seconds at a time, not minutes, not 30 seconds at a time, not 10 seconds at a time, but every single second is a matter of, can you keep this person's attention? And that is how they measure engagement. And we don't really think about it that way, but the truth is that's how things have shifted. I grew up, we were talking before we hit record, my background's in marketing and advertising. Well, the difference is when I was doing marketing and advertising, it was, 22-minute programs with 8 minutes of commercials. So, you know, our goal was, man, let's try to make sure they don't do a bathroom break on our commercial, right? Let's see if we can keep them engaged long enough to wait till the next commercial comes in. Um, Way different in the social media space. So just great to think about just the microwave generation, just the distractions we all have and how much we are fighting for someone's attention. So if you do manage to grab their attention, you better have something really compelling and keep that attention and not waste 2 minutes, going blank while you're waiting for folks to come through on the webinar. Um, when
Well,
you
John,
think,
if
yeah,
you don't
please.
mind, I'll add a couple more things to that. As far as kind of like the power of the platform itself. The platform is its primary monetization mechanism is to connect advertisers with its users. So how do they? The more effectively they do that, the more money they make because the more effective the advertising campaigns are. So the more budget that the advertisers are going to throw at it. So how they're able to create that connection is they're investing billions of dollars into that. And so what I want to emphasize here is this is that the platform, as everybody who's on it knows, it knows a lot about you, probably more so than you're willing to admit, or maybe more than you're aware. Um, and so it's not an accident when you say something out loud or you seemingly think a thought and next thing you know you're seeing ads for it within seconds. You're like, oh my gosh, I just was having a discussion with my friend or with my wife or whoever right next who was standing right next to me. My phone is off to the side. Next thing you know, I'm picking up my phone and I'm going, check this out. You're not going to believe what I'm seeing here now, right? And so all these different signals and intentions of all these offline signals and online signals, they're being used in split seconds to serve you things that you are looking for. So it's a little bit, this whole advertising effort is a little bit different from Google, for example. Google, you are the one who's actually intentionally sitting down and typing something and you're going, okay, I'm looking for a multifamily investment. The Meta, you're not going there to look for that, right? Because you mentioned, you're not going there to do any work stuff. You're not there looking for your next investment. The platform just knows. It just knows because of how much time you spend in the platform. There's about a quarter of a billion users on between Facebook and Instagram, just in the United States alone. Going off of the estimated that 10% of all households are accredited, that gives you about 25 million accredited investors as a kind of a user base. There's also another statistic that says that these people spend about, and I think I mentioned this earlier, they spend about an hour across both Instagram and Facebook every single day, which means that these platforms, they're built to collect data on you. And so this is the exact kind of mechanism and data that we use to be able to place offerings and not just get our clients offerings to accredited investors in the general sense, but like we get way more specific than that. As an example, we had a fund that was acquiring boutique hotels in Western Europe. Like that was their thing. And they started with an asset in Spain. And so they got on an investor call and the guy says, okay, well, I invest professionally in international hospitality assets. So that by itself was already a great fit. But then he goes to say, well, I also take a vacation with my family to Spain every single year. So there was like a no-brainer investment because he could write the whole thing off. He could stay at the asset. So that's just one example. We have another land development fund where they're building AI infrastructure to power AI. It's kind of an energy real estate play. And every single day I'm reading messages from our clients saying, okay, this person is he's a great lead. He understands, he's in software development, or he's in AI, or he's in land development. He understands energy, he understands power. And so it's not just we're pairing accredited investors, but we're also pairing the investors who understand the asset class. So it's a much client, and so this is a little bit different from what we were doing even a couple of years ago, because the algorithms are getting better and better and better. And so the platform is really exceptional at doing at matching people who it believes are going to express interest to the highest degree, and it does a very good job of that.
Vitaliy, I love the breakdown, man, and it's scary when you think about how the platforms work. And you mentioned that example of like, oh, I was just talking about that, and here it is. I'm getting an ad for it, and certainly, there's times where you're like getting stalked by certain things. It's like I was looking for a soccer net for my son, and ended up buying one. But man, for the next 3 weeks, that's all I was getting was these different soccer goals served up as ads, right? So it happens, and they have so much information. They're trying to do the best to keep people on the platform based on their own interests, based on, the you know, the actions that we have taken, like, oh, you searched for this, or you asked about this, or you looked for content on this. So they're going to make sure they're doing that. So those platforms have way more knowledge on that potential customer than anything else that exists. So they're going to do a really good job being able to pair people up, but you still have to have the right message to engage with that individual at that time. We talked a lot about, kind of the content, and again, that uh, the mindset of the user, and the fact that they may not be in that mode when they're on the platform. As you think about like just this process and what you have seen, I know you focus more on the upfront side, but just curious, where do you see investors kind of having that leak in the funnel, or that leak in the bucket, where you've got some good leads coming in, but you're just not converting? What's the biggest mistake you see investors making there?
That's a great question. Okay, so the biggest thing is it's on the sales side. It's not having a sales process and not working with a team that knows how to help you on the sales process. So that's one of the biggest things, because raising money from a family friend is much different than raising money on social media from a complete stranger, because people already have a high degree of skepticism on everything that they see online to begin with. And so it's your job to kind of play in that space and come off as credible. That can be a very challenging thing to do. That's done in the campaign side, so on the creative side, but it also, what happens when you pick up the phone and you call, like what is the experience that you give them there? So one of the things that we actually started doing is actually calling. And so we don't, again, so a lot of people are using AI and are trying to do the AI thing. And so that's the really, we've tried that. We went back to actually building out an appointment setting team on our side that calls every single one of our clients lead on their behalf within 5 minutes of coming in. So it's a human being on the phone. We have a whole team that's highly trained to doing that. And so they do a couple of things on the phone. But that's one of the pieces of experience that you just don't get anywhere else unless you have that built in house. And some people have that developed, but a lot don't. So we said, hey, how can we help our clients on that side? So that's kind of the beginning piece of how to position the offering for, or how to position the prospect for a sale, right? So that this appointment setting team, they're not doing the selling, but they're just kind of prepping the investor relations team for the sale. Um, and then knowing what to do, how to prepare for the call, how to do you send out a text message prior to the call to ensure that they show up, a manual one that's different from your automated ones, right? So there's the large, uh, it, a lot of companies are over indexing on AI, and they're over indexing on automations. But really, the ultimate thing that's going to make you different and unique is the human to human experience. Because remember, at the end of the day, they're investing in a relationship with you for like 5 years, and so they want to make sure that they're not just dealing with some robot or some AI thing, and so they want to make sure that they have a real relationship. And so the more you can deliver that leading up to the call, and then knowing what process to run them through on the sales side, and then what kind of documents and materials to send post call. So we actually help our clients create like a diligence packet. So we know that that's what's coming. We know that that's what they're going to ask for. So we prepare that in advance, knowing how to book that second call to answer any last minute questions, and kind of having a full process of taking the lead all the way through. That's the generating the lead and a meeting relatively easy. Knowing what to do with that meeting, that's where that's where the biggest leaky bucket is for most.
Vitaliy, great information, man. I appreciate you breaking that down. And just again, it comes down to the human component. You got to stand out. You got to make connections. There's that speed to lead, which you mentioned earlier. And if you can combine those things, you will be successful raising capital. For folks that want to learn more, check out the website, raisereadysystems.com. Lots of information there, and you can connect with Vitaliy and his team at that point. But check them out, learn more if this is something that you're interested in and looking to raise more capital for your deals using social media. Vitaliy, we're going to transition now and go to our round of insights. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmoncapital.com and click on the mastermind button today. Give me a failure or an apparent failure that sets you up for later success.
Yeah. So we just kind of touched on that. So that's essentially generating the lead, but not knowing what to do with it. So that's us taking some of that off of our clients' shoulders. And so that it allowed us to develop solutions. So failures are like, hey, our clients aren't raising money. Well, what can we do? So then we developed an appointment setting team on our side that we plug our clients into. So that's number one. Number two is we actually partnered with an investor relations manager who is on his 30th deal raising from social media right now. He's an incredibly knowledgeable guy. And based on the strategies that he's using every single day, is what we've developed our sales pipeline around. So the things that are working every single day for him to raise, he's collected like $1.5 million in Optimus just last week alone. And so he's got a lot of this experience, and we're developing our process around just what it takes to raise capital from social media. So that's that. We're also exploring ways how we can actually take over the capital raising process for our clients, so that our clients get to focus on what they do best, and then they leave the capital raising side to us. So that's kind of a new one for us. So we're actually taking over investor relations as well. So exploring what that looks like. But yeah, all these different apparent setbacks, I wouldn't call them failures, but setbacks kind of prompted us to say, hey, how can we create a better experience for our clients and stand out in the marketplace?
Give me a digital or mobile resource you recommend for our listeners.
So we have a detailed insights blog on our website. So I would check that out. Any blue button you see on our website, click that, and that's going to direct you to scheduling and calling. Is going to take you through the process of, and you'll see kind of how we structure our call funnel as well. And that's exactly the same way that, we structure the call funnel for our clients as well. So it's a great way to check that out. And so that's what I would say there.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Yeah, so one of those is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I see you smiling because you probably understand the value of that book.
Yeah.
it's essentially how to better allocate your time, your time resource, get the most out of your team, and create more leverage in your business. And if you don't already have an executive assistant, consider getting them one and giving them this book to read as their first project.
Yeah, it's in I'm halfway through it now. So I stopped reading it, finished the other book, and I've come back to it. So it's a great book.
It's a really easy read, and it's a really impactful book.
It is. Give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
Yeah, so I pray every morning, and I do that before I open up my laptop or my phone, and I call that my throne before phone practice.
I love that. It also, in my head, it's like, what are you praying for? But it's like when you open that laptop, it's like, please, no. No, I'm kidding. What?
It just allowed you to get centered before the chaos.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Because if you approach to it with a reactive mindset, it's going to be a completely different day than if you were to approach it with a proactive mindset.
Absolutely. All right. Give me your number one insight for raising capital.
Yeah, so that would be your speed to lead, invest in having an understanding that your investors are evaluating other offerings as well. And, the experience that you deliver and your team delivers to them is going to make the key piece. And I'll also add on to this is that on that initial call, what we see our clients do before they start working with us is that they actually start pitching their deal on the very first call. And that's something we actually dissuade our clients from doing. And instead, we focus them on learning more about the prospect and then having an understanding of what their prospect is looking for, what their investor is looking for. Only then you start peppering in the benefits of investing in your deal, only if there's a right fit. Because at the end of the day, if there's not that good fit, there's nothing you can say or do that's going to get them to invest. So it's just the overall providing a better experience and allows them to feel heard and feel like, hey, these guys really understand and they get what I'm after. And so it makes sense for me to jump on another call with them.
No, great stuff there. All right, well, let's lighten the mood. You're out there in Minneapolis. What's your favorite place to go out bite to eat?
That was probably the hardest question that I was thinking about. We love eating. My wife and I go out every Friday to eat some food and explore and find new places. But one place we always come back to, and we actually have a list of restaurants that we after every single time we go out, we have a rating system. We only have one 5 out of 5. And that one is Kaluna. It's a Laotian restaurant here in Minneapolis. The food, the presentation, the decor, and the service makes you feel like a literal king every time you go into that place. And so I love that place. We celebrate our anniversaries, birthdays, and just whenever friends come to town, that's where we go. If you do end up going there, ask for Gabe, our favorite server there, and tell him Vitaliy sent you.
I love it. Sounds like a phenomenal place. That's the only one that's 5 out of 5. So that's high marks right there. Vitaliy, great stuff, man. Really enjoyed our conversation. A couple things stand out. One, speed to lead, right? Whether it's social media or just in general, when it comes to investor relations, really business, man. Speed to lead is so critical. I mean, there's so many automations in place. But if you can add that human touch and give people a sense of who you are and how you do business right out of the gate, that's going to allow you to shine and stand out in a way that others can't. So really, really great insight. And sometimes the insights aren't necessarily earth-shattering, but sometimes they're a great reminder of what we should be prioritizing and focusing on. But that really stands out there. And also just helping us understand like how using social media to raise capital really works and where we need to focus. You have to have a campaign that hooks that potential investor. You're probably talking to a more sophisticated investor who has some experience, and you want to really build that relationship, get to know them. Don't just start pitching out of the gate, but get to know them, get to know what they're looking for, and then highlight how your deal may help them achieve their financial goals. Really, really good insights. And obviously, if anyone is interested in learning more, working with you and your team, please reach out. Go to raisereadysystems.com and learn more and connect with Vitaliy. Hey, thanks again for being a great guest and coming on the show today. We look forward to staying in touch with you and hope you have a great day.